Hi there. This is Crystal Ferguson's response to Let's Pretend, an article written by Dr. Lenora Fulani and Dr. Fred Newman. Uh, it's very interesting that I revisited this article again. It resonated with me at the end of my undergraduate career and followed me into my graduate career because I actually referred to it a couple of times in my capstone proposal. It's its idea of the education crisis in America and the solution really stuck with me for the simple fact that it was the weirdest approach that anyone could ever come up with. Oftentimes we think about the brokenness of a young person and the words that are being spoken to them at home by teachers who've simply given up on them, and family members like siblings, older siblings, they get called stupid all the time, or whatever the case is. But that negative impact has definitely been internalized, and it affects the young person in such a way that their success going forward is just not there. Like the capacity of success and thinking of ways in how they can prove others wrong actually goes down. The self-esteem level goes down, and I thought it was an interesting twist that if we all became a part of this national performance to do somewhat of a play on the words smart, and just instilling that and drilling that into these young minds, that it'll actually boost their self-esteem, allow them to gather themselves and think highly of themselves and to stop giving up on themselves. Because when they notice that other people around them have given up, it's more than likely they'll give up on themselves, rather than one person going against the grain and going against all odds and being labeled the exception. That's the absolute pet peeve of mine, when a young person is successful and it's overpraised for the simple fact that other people aren't doing it or other kids aren't doing it, and it makes it seem like that's not the norm, when the norm should be everybody having success. So it definitely resonated with me, and I wanted to read a clip from my capstone proposal, which I wrote 3 years ago. All right, it starts off with a quote. "The emotional deprivation that comes along with social segregation has a large impact on how the rest of a juvenile's life can be lived. Delinquency is not a static behavioral category, but may vary over time and situations. The assessment can be made that the way in which we refer to someone subconsciously takes a toll on them, and it's more than likely for them to internalize and believe that this is who they truly are, and they end up becoming that very same label." So in this society, we often hear of folks categorizing young people as juvenile delinquents, and it motivates them, but negatively. Well, if society feels that I am this rebel, then I'm gonna be that. Since they already think that way of me, then that's who I'm gonna become. And that is the mentality of a lot of young people across this country and across the world. I did a study. I went to Oxford in the summer of 2012 to analyze the two juvenile justice systems, between the American judicial system and the UK's juvenile justice system. And it was interesting because the types of rehabilitation that they do in the UK are vastly different from what they do in the United States. And this approach of reaching out to these young people and speaking to them as if they are people, and motivating them, uplifting them, empowering them, and helping them know that this is not it for me. Even if I went down the wrong path, I can still be somebody. There are still people in this world who believe that I am smart and that I am capable of achieving more than enough to become an active citizen of my society, right? And the Let's Pretend article is pretty much a psychological play on the mind for academics to pretend that a child is smart, to pretend that the child is smart. And it's significant because now children will perceive themselves as such, and intuitively it influences the actions that they have or they will do to become better. A transition needs to be made, and this is something I suggested, that successful children are not related to as the exceptions, but rather everyone is on a level of doing well, which they will develop a better society. And I know we've heard it lots and lots of times. It takes a village to raise a child. It surely does. Because some of these young people, they're coming from homes where they're not being fed properly in the morning, so they're going to school tired, hungry. That a parent could be working 2 jobs just to make sure they have a roof over their head, but maybe not enough for food. And there are so many dynamics that go into how a child is labeled and how you critique them on their performance level. If negative observations are constantly dropped without positive attention, it creates an unstable equilibrium on the standpoint of the society. And that's something that I wanted to change, especially as a public administrator. I went into the field of juvenile justice for reasons such as this. A lot of adults have given up on this generation, the new millennials, and it's sad because if we give up on them, then the future of this great nation will no longer be here. It can't exist if we're not training these children in the way that they should. So if we want them to be smart, we have to encourage them to be smart and to continue being that buzz in their ear. A lot of these inner city kids definitely need more of a push than those who have grown up in the suburbs. But at the same time, all children need that extra push. And this article, Let's Pretend, I feel like it's a brilliant approach to the situation, and I think we should try it. We've tried other avenues, and we haven't had much success, so I think doing something completely opposite, completely uncomfortable, it will make a difference. I truly believe that. And in my line of work now, I've been utilizing some of the techniques that I've read in this article. And the cultural variety of New York City, I've been able to see the undeveloped young people and the more developed. All these labels don't mean a thing. We just need to educate and to empower. That is the most powerful thing that I've come out of reading this. I've been working on this article for quite some time now, and every time I read it, it becomes more and more clear to me that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in our society as it relates to the lives of young people and the future of us. And there's one more quote that's actually from the article, and it was highlighted. And it says, "A system which presumes that classroom learning can substitute for or override a lack of development has failed to deliver. A lot of parents feel that, children will learn everything at school. Like they give the teachers that job of teaching their child and training them all together. There's no substance at home. No, we have to work together. And programs like the All Stars Project, and they refer to the Harlem Children's Zone. There's the Justice Community Program, and these are programs in New York City. They all are catering to the development of our young children, our young people, to grow them up in a society where they are taught to be themselves, yet, what's the word I'm looking for? They're taught to be themselves, but they're also taught to be who society needs them to be at the same time. We're all active citizens in some way or another. It could be a negative way or a positive way, but we want them to respond in a positive way. A lot of their environments don't feed them the positivity that they need, so it's much harder for them to propel at the level that we feel that they should be. But the need for these programs, like the All Stars Project, is direly important. And I was actually someone who benefited from this program. My area, my neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, wasn't the best at all. It was Crown Heights and East New York. I was raised in both parts, and I chose not to become a product of my environment. I chose to manipulate the environment to make sure that that didn't have to be the end for me. So I'm still working towards a lot of career goals, and I think the All Stars helped me grow and develop at the age of 17. To become more cosmopolitan, to become more poised, and to really get comfortable with public speaking. And I'm thankful for this program, and I'm thankful to be a part of it. And I'm also thankful to have the opportunity to share with other young people that I see coming up and recommend them to a program such as this. Experience is the best teacher, and my experience taught me that there are people who still care, and now I'm one of them. I care about young people. I want to help young people. I want to learn more about nonprofit management. I want to help youth development in this entire world. So my name is Crystal Ferguson. Choose me. I want to be an activist. I want to be an activist for social development fellow. And I'm so honored to even be asked to apply to this wonderful opportunity. So thank you for thinking of me, and I hope you choose me.